Welcome. This is Maya Dynamics Level 2, Week 12, the final lesson. Today we're going to do, it's just a Q&A with the guys here in the room. A bit of an open session, so let's see what Dave, I think, is the first one to show up. So Dave, it's all about you, man. What do you want to talk about? Doesn't have to be related to the course. If you want to ask something else, it's fine with me. But, enjoy.
Okay, I'm gonna type it. It'd be easier.
Okay, sounds good, man. Yeah, I think to clear the noise on the line, probably if you can mute, yeah, exactly, mute your microphone, and just in case. I think I figured out how to separate the audio from my microphone than yours, but in the recording, but sometimes it sounds kind of fun. So anyway, let's see. So I'm sharing my screen, I'm recording, everything's good. So let's see what's the first question from Dave. I'm going to open my email. It's open, just in case someone is having issues logging into the room because there's no one here, which is weird. Okay, let's see. In the meantime, I don't know, maybe it's a long question. Ah, there you go. Ah, okay, that's good. What makes a good reel for beginners? I like it, and you can keep them coming as I answer if you want, Dave, so we can get as many questions as possible. Good reel for beginners. Well, I'll tell you my experience. What I've seen from when I was hiring people. A beginner, let's say someone who has never worked in film. Okay, someone who's for the first time you wanna get your foot on the door at a movie studio. It is possible. So many people think that it's not possible, that you need to have movies, but it's like one of those things that what was first, the chicken or the egg, no? You don't worry, you can get jobs in movie business without having made one already. What do you want to show? Well, if you're freelancing, then of course you try to show professional paid work. Is always it gives them a bit more, they put them at ease a little bit. Someone already paid you to do something, and you did it. But that's not always the case. It was my case. I had very few little things of paid work. What I did was, it will sound funny, but what I did is actually I did the examples that I did on this course. The reason this course, my whole course, okay, my whole 3 levels of Maya. The reason I structured those levels that way is because that's the kind of stuff that I did personally back then, to showcase that I knew enough to be able to be put onto more complicated things on film and more challenging work. So if you want to show, if you want to make a reel, then make sure that show that you can control, you can manipulate particles, easily. That you know how to deform geometry, either by doing soft body or doing end cloth. Okay. Show them that you know how to instance geometry, how to deal with that part. Show them that you obviously know how to do a little bit of meld, just simple expressions, and be creative with even if you know a little bit, try to be creative about it. Show them that you can do fluid simulations, okay, that you understand what it takes to make a believable fire, a believable explosion, because we know that is a very common effect in every movie. You can go a bit deeper, okay, if you want, and then you can start mixing particles, emitting fluids and things like that. But try to stay clear. It's hard nowadays because, of course, everybody. There's a lot of more effects TDs out there, or effects artists out there. But try as much as you can to stay clear of the same kind of examples that everybody shows. The same fire burning. I mean, I show you, for example, how to make fire, but then. It's not just how to make fire. I'm basically going on the topics that you need to simulate combustion. And then we took that, remember, we did the fire trails. Just try to spice it up a little bit. So if it's a tornado, why is not a tornado, for example, with the some sort of fire element in it? Try to, as much as possible, stay clear of the repetitive. It happens for everybody. Animators have the same thing. Animators have the same walk cycle, the same run cycle. They also have to stay clear of those things. Like you can spot the animation mentor students from miles away. because they all have the same kind of, it's like a cut with the same pattern, right? We try to stay clear of the same thing. So try to be as creative as possible. Show that you can go particles to, do interesting morphing of particles. That you can probably render, points. You understand what lighting is and the shadows. At the end of the day, as a junior, as an entry level, first time job like that, you just need to give them the peace of mind that then you are capable and willing to take on effects tasks, and you can really, the whole process, and you're able to understand it well and mix it together. So, any examples that we did on level 1, we do, for example, chains, but we don't simulate the chains with rigid bodies like people will think. You can use soft bodies and splines for that. For example, that is one creative challenge in there. You can do a cape the same way. So they appreciate that kind of stuff. You can do like water extensions. I'm not talking super high level, but you can do water extensions with soft bodies. You can simulate flocks of birds in the sky just with points. It's to show that kind of stuff, simplicity. Try to stay clear of showing too many. If you do like a tool yourself, like a rig or something, try to stay clear of showing as part of your reel how the tool works. People don't like that. You can do that as a separate reel, secondary to the original one. And if someone wants to go deeper into that, then it's totally fine. I'm going to tie that with your next question. Do you need live action in your reel as a beginner, and how did I start as a freelancer? So I'm going to keep tying them up. And Darius, I just saw you're here. Welcome. Remember, today's Q&A day, so go ahead and type questions as Dave is doing them on the pod on the top, and I will go one by one and answer as many as possible. Live action on your reel as a beginner. Well, I didn't have any, and my first job ended up being an animated movie. Okay. I worked my first real film was Ice Age 2. So I did work before that. I did and I'm tying them the answers. I'm sorry, the two things, mixing them up. But I began my freelance career. Okay, I began doing my first paid job, and I think it was like a couple of $100 only. I was doing a simulation, and I didn't have to do it with simulation. I was just so eager to do particles, I think it was something like one of those water jet machines that cuts marble and hard stone and stuff like that. That uses high pressure water. I did one little animation in Maya of that. I rendered that, and they put it on a website. And that was my first thing, and then from there, I prepared my reel, and I started doing. Let me try to recall. Well, I went first onto forensic animations. Okay, so there was one company in Texas who hired me, and basically was a lawyer who had a bit of a production company on the side, and we were recreating accidents for him to take as video into the courtroom and recreate this. Kind of like the stuff you see on Discovery Channel, not that nice looking, but that kind of stuff. And I was taking care of the fire and simulation of elements. Then I moved on to pharmaceutical animations. Very, very profitable business. Not for me, for the owner of the company who deals with that kind of stuff. But it was quite nice. Simulating the recreating similar kind of stuff again. It's just how a drug works inside the body. So you do like the blood cells, so you can quickly see it in your mind that you have like a stream of blood cells. It's just a flow of particles along a curve, and you instance this blood cell that they give you because it's already modeled, sometimes specifically. So you can kind of see where the effects will tie up over there. So a lot of soft bodies to deform muscle and to deform the veins and things like that. So that was kind of the stuff I did. I managed to squeeze in the side there a music video for Tori Amos, and I had no idea who she was. So I did just some vines deforming on the back using soft bodies and splines. You can see what I'm saying. The techniques that I'm teaching on the course on level 1, 2, and 3, that was squeezed. That's the kind of stuff I had to do, and I'm glad that I knew how to do them because I managed in a relatively short period. We're talking about from no Maya to my first film credit. Okay, about 3 years, 2.5 years, freelancing, moving around, jumping around. So to be honest, for me that I'm self-taught, I didn't go to school for this. it's not that bad. Okay, so people spend that amount of time only doing university work. So it wasn't too bad. It's because of that. I try to diversify what I focus on effects for sure. I learned everything first. I learned a bit of everything, but I focus on effects. So I got that kind of stuff. I didn't have any live action on my reel. Okay, so well, actually, I did have one thing, which was the Tori Amos music video, which was a comp, and I didn't do the comp. I was just doing the effects on the back. So nothing. I do, however, I do give you guys in these courses live action plates because I think is important. I think it's a good thing to try. It's more for you. I think you will still get the job without it, but I think it's a good thing for you guys to try and practice with live action plates every now and then because it gives you, well, it puts you in the right place. It puts you in the position where you have to match the lighting, you have to match the scale, and at the end of the day. I gotta say that for me it was interesting. The switch from freelancing to an animated movie was very easy transition, and then my next film was Harry Potter, and it was definitely a live action film. So I found that I was a bit uncomfortable for a few days, dealing with the new change of pace and having live action plays to comp against. So that's why again I implement those things into my courses early on. With the rain on level 1, week 3 or 4, we do rain, and we do rain against a live action play right away. So it's because of that. I think it makes it easy for you later to deal with that. But it's not imperative. So if you don't have it, don't worry. But in your personal case, you do have access to the stuff that we give you, so you do have a few plays to play with, and you can put anything you want in there. So it's quite nice. Let's see. There is. If you're watching people's reels, what are you looking for? Let's see. I think this question continues. What are you looking for? Sorry, I got lost. Okay. What do you find the most important? Will it be complexity, creativity, cool look, attention to detail? Potential improvement we're looking at. Yeah, that's a good question. I personally, okay, and I can speak with property because I did hire quite a few guys in the past in big films. Okay, so I personally look for creativity. I find it quite nice and quite interesting if someone can do an interesting visual using simple concepts and mixing different techniques. And I don't know if you've seen it. Dave knows me a little bit longer, probably because he's taken other courses, but I try to do that. I try to start with something simple, but then mix it together with other techniques, and then end up with something a bit more complicated. So that, I appreciate that a lot. It's definitely, that's the most thing. And then, like I was saying earlier, getting a strong sense of that you know your deal, that you know your business. You might not have had a project that was very challenging in your career, because sometimes it's not up to us. Okay, sometimes we get stuck with doing little puffs of dust for a year and a half, and it could happen. But as long as you can show me other things that you have done on your personal work, like I prefer to see your personal work of interesting, cool, creative things than seeing your professional work in Avatar doing just little puffs of smoke. Yeah, it's a big film, but it wasn't challenging, the work. So I think that's, for me personally, is the most part. And I believe that the most of the other supervisors are looking for that kind of thing. You reach a level at some point, once you do 2, 3, 4 films, that you don't have to worry anymore. That's finally when you go downhill. Downhill meaning in an easy way. Okay, so it gets very easy to get jobs. You have friends, and then you say, hey, which movie are you working on? The interviews are quite funny at that point. It's more of a chat with a friend than anything. But the first few years are a bit tricky. Just try to mix things up a little. Complexity, of course, is important. Okay, but again, if you show me something that looks hard, complicated to do, and you tell me how you did it and it's easy, in an easy way, someone, at the end of the day, what you want to make a supervisor say, oh man, I didn't think of that, I could have done it that way. There's 1,000 different ways to do anything in this business. So yeah, that to me is the most important bit. Attention to detail, of course. I reviewed some reel. I think I reviewed a reel on last week on the master class, and there was some definite issues with attention to detail. Things that if you don't know how to fix them, then don't put them, because the problem with that kind of stuff, you have a simulation that is off and have something broken. it actually works against you, okay? Because it shows that, yeah, you lack attention to detail. And my attention, sadly, is could be a beautiful simulation, but if it's something off, at some point, of something obvious, then my attention goes to that point and I only see the negative. Nope, not me, Louis. I think it's a general thing, but the way humans are. So it's best to just don't put it, cut it out. You know, is a 10-second reel very strong is much better than a 2-minute reel that is mediocre, right? So keep that one in mind too. I don't know if I may have been a bit vague, but I think this answer mixed with the Dave's answer, it kind of tells you just try to mix it up a little, complicate your simulations. If you say everybody wants to do a tornado with fluids, but if you're gonna do that, then try to do it in a way that is slightly different. I don't know, bend it, break the physics of it. Right? Start physical, start physically correct, and then do something unusual with it. That kind of thing, I think, is the trick. Next question: do you have to travel a lot as a freelancer for team meetings? Well, yeah. I mean, I think you have to. At this day and age that we are in this industry, I think traveling is implied in everything you do. Either relocation, full relocations, or small trips. It could happen. Depends on where you live. I mean, my first years, of this, I was in America and I was living in the East Coast. I was living in Miami, in the South area, Orlando. So I spent some time between Miami and Orlando doing things. But then I got called for this forensic thing I told you in Texas, which is right in the center of the country. Then I got called for something else in San Francisco, so I went there. I did my medical stuff over there. Then Blue Sky called me in New York, so I crossed the country again to New York. So for that kind of stuff, if you're willing to do it, my advice to you, if you can, if you have if you are single with no kids, then you're and you're not too attached to your family, then you're free to move. My advice is do it. If you have the luck that I had, which having finding a wife that is willing to put up with this jumping, then by all means do it. Because at the beginning, if you do that, then you will get more projects. It'll be easier for you to build your reel, and then you can land a job that is a bit more stable. It all depends on what you want. If you want to become a freelancer, and only service some people, some companies on short-term projects because you can make more money, it's more flexible, then try to place yourself, if possible, try to place yourself in a place like New York, in LA. I wouldn't say London, but New York and LA, for example, would be good places to do it because there's so many clients. If you're gonna do the short freelance gig, you'll probably end up working in commercials, music videos, and things like that. So you need to look for where is the most concentration of advertisement agencies and things like that, and see if you have the ability, place yourself in that spot. If you're working on big studios, then it sucks nowadays. It's terrible, but you get if you're lucky, you get a year contract here, and then you have to move to across the globe to another one. If you keep track of, I don't know if you've seen my resume of what I've done, but if you keep track of me, if you draw lines as I move around the world, I've been 3 times around it. 3 times in London, twice in Australia, Singapore, New Zealand, London. Like I said, in America, I'm in France right now. I've been in Russia, in South America. So it's messed up. It's nice to see the world, but it gets exhausting. And now that I have a little baby, I'm done. So try to do your jumping earlier for later, so you don't have to do it later. Dario's here. Great, Dario, welcome. Work is divided as an effects artist. Specialties in water, smoke, or fire to break things, or should we specialize in everything? Okay, good question. I like it. At first, at the beginning, you guys I don't think you guys are working in production yet, or at least not in film. If I'm not mistaken, if you are, I'm sorry. But I don't think you are yet. So in your case, you should specialize on everything. And again, hence the reason I do my courses the way I do them. You see, level 1, if you want to make it very clear cut what I do, level 1 is particles and soft bodies. Level 2 is fluids, pretty much all of it. And then I spice it up with little end particles at the end there just to show you what they do, and a little end cloth, but it's basically the same, fluids and end particles. And level 3 is rigid bodies and melt scripting. So and then extra the stuff that we do with Igor for like understanding camera tracking, understanding projections, just so you can talk to people in the studio. Not that you will be doing them personally, but just so you understand. So basically, as you can see, and then I have the Real Flow course, right? So you can see that if you combine all the stuff that I do, it makes you a very solid FX TD in general, a general FX TD that you're able to work then in any small to medium size studio. Or as a freelancer, you will also, do quite well. But then it comes, obviously we all, most of us want to climb, keep climbing. So you're looking higher, you're looking for MPC, you're looking for Framestore, you're looking for ILM, for Weta. Okay, you're looking for those big guys and you want to be part of those things. Those guys, they tend to have a bit more teams of specialists. Depends on the studio. I will tell you, for example, the case of Weta in New Zealand. When I was there, okay, they used to be very specialized. Okay, so there used to be three within the FX team. There used to be three different disciplines. You could be, if you watch Avatar, if you look for me, I will show up under water TDs or water FX TDs or something like that, right? So I was part of the water team. I was specialized with my guys, my co-workers, on doing water simulations of all sorts. So anything water related, send it to that team, send it to that group. Then they have the destruction team, and it's called destruction, which is great. The destruction team, those guys break things and blow things up. And then you have the FX TDs, which is just basically they do everything they can to help everybody, and everything else. Let's say, cloth and hair and muscle is not done by FX guys. That's why I don't cover this in my courses. That is done by the character TDs, and they do as well as the rigging and all that kind of crap that I don't like. So that's done by some other team. So as you can see, it could be specialization. Sometimes you get bias. Okay, you get typecast because you have done, and that was actually my case. I did water on Ice Age, and then I was hired for Harry Potter to do water. They cut the sequence and I did something else, but my intention was to go ahead and do water. Then I kind of liked it, and then as you get more experience, they tend to ask you what you like to do, or there are 20 shots, and if you're lucky, if you're experienced enough and you're lucky, you're friends with the right people, then you could probably pick the shots that you want to work on. And I started picking more water. I went to Weta, did water again. So it could be something that's done by choice. Okay, even though it's one FX team, that's not divided into teams. You could probably try to see what you like to do the most. If you like more rigid bodies, then by all means, there's many shots that need that kind of stuff. But yeah, some studios are very defined with teams have specific names within the FX team. Others no. But even then, within the team, you always say, hey, a complicated explosion. Oh, give it to Dario because he knows how to do it. He did some in the other movie and they look pretty cool, so he's the guy. It could happen. So, but I like to be able to tackle any shot, because sometimes you do it an explosion, but to do it you have to deal with things in rigid bodies and soft bodies. So it's good to have a solid core foundation. Okay. What else? We still have time. Keep them coming. If you want to share also, if you have a play blast or a render or something that you have, this works both ways. Okay, you can share your screen with us, and we can look at it, and if you need comments or something, I don't know. That's also a possibility. If for that, let me know so I stop sharing my screen and I ask you to share yours. I'm just resting my voice while the next question comes in. Or if you don't have any questions, just let me know, and then then that's it. But in the meantime, while the next question shows up in the pod here, things that I've been asked the last few days. Okay, so the recordings of these courses will remain available to you for one more week. Okay, I believe that by now, it's been 4 months. I believe that by now you've been following your course. If you had to rewatch something. If not, I will advise you to do it this week, okay? Then the courses will come back in 2 flavors, okay, or 2-3 flavors. I'm trying to set something up to have the actual open source material, okay? At that point, it wouldn't be open source anymore, but the courses that you've seen, these things, okay, that I've been posting here every week. I will bring these things back if everything is working correctly as pay-per-view. So you could go in if you needed to watch something else and watch it. You have the option, if you needed, to keep these lessons for yourself and watch them over and over again for later. Then you have the choice to purchase what is called the digital download or the pen drive. And this one will allow you, starting from next week, I hope, to start downloading the recordings. And you save them as a hard copy in your computer, you're done. And this one is meant more for those of you who prefer me to copy the thing for you in a USB key pen drive, and I'll mail that to you, to your house, along with the scene files and the stuff that you have on the FTP that you probably downloaded by now. So that is the way it's going to go. The student community will remain open, and you will see a lot of more students coming in the next few days, because we have then the next second part of the plan is to offer the course, so all the levels combined, level 1, 2, and 3 combined into what is called the FX Technical Director Program. Okay, so it's basically just everything combined into one. It lasts, it's like longer classes, like 3 hours of class per week, and it lasts 3 months. So this is another way. And you will, reason you will see more students coming in, and it's also this things called the case studies, which are a slightly different method of working, where is four classes of 90 minutes, and in those 4 classes I will recreate whatever you see on the banner, right? So there is one that begins on next Saturday, this one, and I will recreate this water sphere from Potter, but this is a Harry Potter motif, let's say. So I will do the glass, I will do the fire snake, I will do the water, and as you can see, there is one every month from that point forward. All the students that come in here, they will also get access to the community. So it's a good way. The reason I'm saying all this is not to sell you on this, it's just to tell you that keep using the community. That won't stop working, that will remain indefinitely. Because I think it's a good melting pot of people. They're from all over the world. And if everybody's sharing the testing they're doing, and I think you will learn quite a lot by just doing that. So there you go. So you will see a lot of different testing for these groups as they come along. Okay, I don't see any questions yet. Is there any other questions, guys, or you guys feel okay and we're cool? This is for you, so we still have a bit of time. Okay, I will be recording the case studies, yes, but the participants will get the recordings, I'm afraid. So yeah, if you join the case study, then you will see the live class and you will get the recording to watch as well. But it's not going to be open for everybody else. It's not like I'm a mean guy, it's just that I didn't get the support that I should have gotten, like from you guys. I'm extremely thankful, and I'm saying this in every class. You guys made this happen, and you should be proud of yourself, not only because you completed the courses, but because you contributed to something that it made a change on the lives of many. Okay, and yes, you put your contribution, you took your classes, and it's fantastic. I'm personally doing a big effort to complete this. Igor, and he was, I believe in those things. He was rewarded greatly now, thankfully. He's working on Double Negative. He's working on Thor. So he moved up to the big leagues, and he's gonna soon. He won't talk to me anymore. I'm sure he will just be doing big films everywhere. So but he did a great effort to complete these things. You guys should be proud that you contribute to something that I'll show you the numbers of today. As of today, but you guys, thanks to your stuff, 102,000 people have actually 102,000 video views have been seen. Okay, this is complete videos view from beginning to end. Okay, some people have stopped halfway. 341,000 of those from 150 different countries. So this is a worldwide thing. I think this it stops at 150. Honestly, just because there's no more space. I don't think there's more. Vimeo doesn't serve any more than that. But you can kind of see there's from every single corner of the world you can think of. Qatar, Lebanon, right? You name it, they're there. Libya, Places are at war. Okay, sometimes I had people from Egypt, from people Syria, from you name it. Syria. There you go. 252 views. So this is a worldwide thing, and if you guys didn't contribute, I wouldn't have done it. So I'm very thankful, and I'm sure the others are thankful. Now the reason I'm stopping this is just because there are, for example, 57,000 loads from America, but we only collected $100 or something in the last month or so. So that's not fair for us. So that's why we need to find other ways to keep feeding our families and moving forward. So I'll do what I can. So that's the reason why the open source is stopping or is changing into accessible but not open content delivery. Okay, let's see what Dario is asking me here. Let's see what is this. How to manage knowledge about software. So someone affects artists in Houdini, others in Maya, Softimage, in-house software, etc. Okay, that's a good question. I think the way you deal with that is by and I think I probably mentioned that's my motto for the courses. It's just I'm not teaching you to do a specific type of effect. I'm teaching you how to think in those terms, what it takes to do an effect. Okay, the components of an effect. Because of that, because if you become a core FXTD and in your brain you have the knowledge of what it takes. If you see an effect, okay, or someone tells you what they need, if you're able to break it down in your mind as they talk, okay, if you know, okay, I can do this with particles, I can do this with fluids, I can do this and this and that, the software eventually becomes irrelevant to you. That's your tool, and that's what the tool that they're giving you to use. There's obviously a definite difference between Maya and Houdini. I personally don't see what's a big fuss about Houdini. I've seen it fail millions of times, and there's no one in this world that can prove me that there's something that can be done in one and not the other. Okay, and it works both ways. So I see them as tools, and I choose not to use Houdini, but it's my personal choice. I have done this for almost 13 years, and I have never been in a situation where I'm like, oh man, I wish I could use Houdini now. Never. Like I said, so your foundation, your training should be more timing and scales and overall techniques in general. Because at the end of the day, Houdini, Maya, whoever, they have particles, they have fluids, they have rigid bodies, they have water solvers. They all work the same way. Can be NIAD, can be real flow, doesn't matter. Or can be an in-house tool, which is part of your question as well. Sometimes I tend to tell you, remember when we're talking about resizable containers for one example, for instance, I tell you try to avoid this because you go to a studio that cannot cache resizable containers. It happens. Sometimes you have studios that have very, very strong effects pipelines, and it only makes your life easier. But if you know the concept, if you know the methodology to do things, you can pick up Houdini, you can learn it. It was the same transition, like from After Effects to Shake to Nuke. Sometimes that's the part of the evolution that we go through. So it doesn't matter. I think that's the way to handle it. I think as a survival instinct, and I think that's going to change at some point. I think this whole charade of Houdini baloney that is out there is going to end up at some point. But a lot of studios picked it up, and that's true. But what they don't tell you, okay, because that's a strong advertising campaign that the side effects have. Okay, so they tell you when studios pick it up, but they don't tell you when they drop it and why they drop it and when they drop it. You'll be amazed, and I will let you realize that yourself. Igor is going through this at the moment, and he's finally seeing what I meant all these years, and I know him. That's the part that they omit from those press releases and all the stuff. They don't tell you when they drop it. They drop it right away, and some studios switch completely. They keep a couple of licenses because they already spent the money. And I'm not saying that it's not good. I mean, it's good, but it's not as good as they think they are. So deal with it accordingly. If you can, as a guy was saying, as a survival thing, it might be a good idea to pick it up. I always tell people that ask me that it's easier to learn Maya first, become a very good FXTD in Maya, and then take Houdini as a procedural tool, which is what it is, to help you replicate certain things and speed up other things. And you have a more objective eye. The people at the beginning, Houdini, and they never want to touch Maya because it's a bit of a cult they have going on there. But if you pick it up in Maya, then you really learn it, in my opinion. You really learn it as it's supposed to be, as it's been done for 20 years. Now, that's one thing that they forget. The movies have been done way before Houdini started, and they look amazing, and they continue to look good. So it's never been the tool, the limitation. It's the artist that matters. So, but pick it up if you have the time. Pick it up because it makes you more employable, of course. It gives you, more tools to your arsenal to get something done on time. Why not? If you have the time. For me, it's more like I learned Maya and I used Maya for so long, and then crankiness of a guy who's getting older too. I just don't feel like learning something like that. I tried it a couple of times and I think it's terrible, so I didn't pursue that. So, but I think if you guys are starting, by all means, just give it a try. I probably would have tried it myself if I was starting now. I would have done both. So every studio will have proprietary tools. Every self-respecting big studio will have them, but they're just variations and things that are actually the tools that you will get in effects are probably tools that either made by other effects guys or as a request from effects. So think of things that bother you. They're kind of annoying. Sometimes they have the tools that simplify and streamline that. So it's only for the good, only for better. I hope that was a good answer. I think the Houdini guys hate me, but I don't mind. I just pick up. Another one. In the future, is there a chance for a NIAD course? Well, I don't know for how long the VFX Learning website. We did have I will say about a year ago. Maybe I don't remember if it was a year, maybe a little more. But we did have a NIAD course. And the instructor was unbelievable. He's a friend of mine from Weta, Diego. Which is one of the, let's say, one of the first guys to mess with NIAD correctly and, involved in the development and all. It was a great opportunity. For one reason or the other, I'm not sure, but VFX Learning wasn't as popular as it is right now. Back then, of course. This is a company that I started myself, and I've done everything myself, from the website to you can see me answering emails personally, to Facebook. I do the whole thing myself. So, it took me a while to get the company, the website, well known as it is now. So we didn't sell enough courses, enough to justify the amount of time that it takes to make one of these things. So we kind of put it on the side, and then as you probably know, Autodesk purchased, bought the company Exotic Matter, which is the guys that make NIAD, and absorbed that company. So NIAD today, you cannot buy it. You cannot get a license of it. The people that have NIAD is because they bought it before that happened. When Autodesk decides and releases what they want to do with NIAD, if it comes out as Autodesk NIAD or whatever, okay, a variation of it, I will definitely consider it. I like RealFlow because RealFlow is more flexible for you guys. I think it allows you to do more quickly. Okay, you can be a freelancer faster with RealFlow than with NIAD. NIAD, I think, more is a bazooka. It's a bigger, heavier, for bigger kind of shots. Okay, but if you need to do quick things that RealFlow can do, especially the new RealFlow, it's quite powerful for what it can do. I don't see much difference with NIAD nowadays. RealFlow had the issues before, but the new one is fantastic. So I chose that one, but I'm always open to that. Even though I don't like Houdini, we did have a Houdini course for at least a year running on our website. So I don't mind. Of course, I'm open to education for everybody. So NIAD could be. So keep checking. All I can say is the moment you see the Autodesk announces something, that whatever the plans is for NIAD, you'll probably see soon enough me putting something on Facebook about it. Because I think it's a cool tool. Definitely, I used it on Avatar as well a little, and it was quite nice. So yeah, that's an option. What else? The fact that you haven't asked me anything about fluids or nCloud or nParticles, it gives me a bit of a. Well, I feel at ease. I hope you don't ask me any of that, because everything was clear. I like these kind of conversations like this are nicer. And I'm sure there's lots of people wondering the same things you are. So that's great. So let's see, what else? We have time for about probably one more question. What is it going to be? As it comes through, remember, I'm just saying, keep checking our Facebook because to me, it's the easiest way to reach the majority of people. So facebook.com/VFX Learning. Go in there and join the other 30 whatever thousand, almost 37,000 people. Because this is very easy for me, very quick. I can just post the new courses that are coming, the dates. I have been traveling, as you can see. I'm going to Mexico, going to Venezuela again. I've been around, so I'm starting to incorporate a bit more live sessions in some cities. So if you think that in the city where you live there is enough people in the interest for something like that, I don't mind. I mean, I will be happy to consider going there and doing a private, a live session more than anything. But yeah, this is a good way to keep track on everything. And if you send me your testing, whatever, if you have your reel, I will be happy. If it looks cool, of course, I will be happy to share it here and get a lot of attention, as you can see. So this is a good way to keep track. Okay, so can you guys give me a thumbs up if there are any other questions, or if not, just tell me as well. Okay, I think something showed up. Two things showed up. I know one thing. About Maya fluids, when you consider ridiculously high resolution. Sorry, I'm kind of confused here. Sorry, I got, okay, there you go. I lost the first half of the question, which is weird. Let me just click on it again and again. Let's see if it opens up. Well, okay, so when do I consider this ridiculous high resolution? One can scale the scene, but it says small as we have, get something to scale 1,000, 1,000 example. It would be best to divide it into different containers. Well, I think the way you should handle the question is basically, when do I think is too big of a resolution to do in one container as opposed to multiple containers. The whole thing with the multiple containers, you have to keep in mind that if the simulation needs to tie together, that's not going to be that easy to do. It's not impossible, but it's not that easy to do. But when is it too big of a container? I would say that your computer will tell you this. The machine where you are, the amount of RAM, remember, is the one responsible for the number of voxels. So 1,000 to the cube, we're talking about what, 100 million, I believe. It's only very few machines can do that. That's just an example because of the numbers you put. I know that you're talking about general concept, so but that is an example. If you have a supercomputer that can handle that kind of stuff, then it's fine. Or the amount of time that it will take to simulate based on the processor, right? So you can have a lot of RAM in a really crappy processor. So you can have lots of voxels, but it's going to take ages to simulate. I think it's mostly your computer that will tell you this. There's nothing wrong with scaling the geometry down, the scene itself, camera and everything, scale it down and fit it within your container. But remember what I said in class, try to stay as close as possible to the real scale as you can. So just because you can scale it down 100 times and make a little container of 10 by 10 by 10 and simulate a massive mushroom cloud or whatever, that's not the way to go either, right? So you have to try to stay within range. So yeah, I think it's just mostly the capabilities of your computer that it will do, especially RAM for number of voxels and processor for the speed of simulation. That will do it. Excuse me. Anything else, guys? One more. What exactly would make my fluid forward advection? Oh, what's the forward advection? It's basically it pushes the density. You remember when I think that was level 3, sorry. Well, on level 3, we advected particles on a fluid. And the whole advection is just pushing, right? It's pushing through something. So if you're advecting particles on a fluid, you're basically pushing the particles, moving them along the fluid. So a forward advection on the fluid is basically doing that. It's displacing the density as it moves forward. Okay, so it's just a variation. I believe, and I think it will be better if you. Let me just open this quickly here. One second, and see what they say here exactly. But basically that's what it is. It's just the simulation will look definitely different, and it will take longer to do to simulate if you use it. I don't use it too much. Forward advection, that's not what I wanted. Maybe here. Right, so let me see if I can find this quickly. Okay, forward advection, let's see, 19 words. So yeah, keep an eye here. Okay, so there you go. So when forward density, temperature, and fuel grids are solved using a mass conserving forward propagation technique. Yeah, it's basically you don't have any the densities that you have in voxels, okay, are maintained and they're displaced correctly. They're advected correctly, so they're pushed from one cell to the other, maintaining the volume, kind of thing. Basically, that pushes density forward through the grid. Velocity grids are not calculated using forward advection. There you go. So the velocity, the part of the fluid, is not calculated through that. Yeah, it's. I mean, as much as I can tell you is that what he says here. It tends to, okay, as a visual result, okay, that I can tell you easily. The edges of those simulations tend to be very round, so I don't find it very useful for quick explosions and things like that. Probably like big plumes of smoke and that kind of stuff could be probably beneficial to use it. But aside of that, yeah, there's not much I can say. I mean, it's just the way it propagates, it pushes the density and the temperature around. I personally, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that the velocity doesn't get pushed throughout with forward advection. That can explain why it looks so much different when you have it on, and it takes a lot longer too, which is kind of done good. But yeah, I hope that at least helps you a little bit. It's definitely a matter of trying. Try with something, obviously a small container, easy to simulate container, but I never had the need for it, so I'm not sure. All right, let's see if there's any other questions here. I don't think so. Well, I think my time is up. I need to go to my next lesson. So again, thank you very much, guys. It was very kind of you to participate in this and help out. Remember, you have another week to catch up on any loose ends that you might have on lessons and things. Use the community as much as possible. Check out Facebook if you're interested in what we're doing next and kind of stuff. Then Facebook is probably a better way to follow us. I'm reading Dave's here. No, thank you very much. I mean, I'm glad you learned, and yeah, it's all about demo reels. So go for it. Get your demo reels up and running. Share them with me. I'll be happy to see them. I'm actually very curious. Not only you guys in the live sessions, but I don't know how many thousands of people are watching these things, and I'm very curious what people are doing with what I'm saying. So I'm hoping, my dream is to have this whole new generation of Maya FXTDs that will take over. But I really want to see what you're up to. So keep sharing, okay? Thank you, Dario. Thank you, Dario and Darius, and Dave as well. Thank you very much. And well, I will see you around. Okay, have a good one. Bye.